Cheap, reliable, and fast. It's what everyone wants, but most can't find.
3, 2, 1. The front tire is skidding!
It's just not possible, they said.
You can skid the back tire.
Insert dramatic line. Oh, wait a second, no. This budget e-scooter claims a top speed of almost 40 miles an hour for under $1,000. It's dual motor, dual swing arm, and 2700 watts, meaning it will blow the brakes off your Kukirin. Okay, maybe not the last one, but if this scooter is even a fraction as good as it claims, I think we're in for a really fun time. And a lot of you guys don't know this, but I also got a DT2 Pro from Ausom a few months ago, which I'm not afraid to say is the smoothest feeling scooter I've ever rode. When you look at the budget hyper scooters or death traps of the scooter world, the first thing that comes to mind is speed. And don't get me wrong, you will feel like the fastest vehicle on the road, until you experience the death wobbles that suck your soul right out of your body. Because at a budget-ish price, the main, if not only consideration, is the power. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the Ausom L2 Max. Dual motor, 2.7 kilowatts, and adjustable launch modes.
This is one of the most exciting scooters I've rode. You get all that thrill, acceleration, enjoyment of riding for under $1,000.
And I have pretty high expectations for the L2 Max, being Ausom's flagship model.
Alright, before we even go anywhere, let's take a look at the controls. Dual motors, you get a horn. You get turn signals, pretty cool. Turn signals right there. You can adjust between 3 modes and on and off for the dual motor. Lowest mode, you have Eco, then you have Sport, and then you have Race. Now we're gonna go into the hidden menu. You have a bunch of things that you can adjust here. For example, I think P08 is for speed, and it should be at 100 if you want it to be the fastest. And then something that's super cool, you can actually adjust the power on the launch, P12. So stock, it's 003, but you can turn it all the way up, to 005 for the most acceleration.
And on the flip side, you can turn it down to make it more manageable.
Whew. All right, let's do some launches. We're gonna start an Eco single motor. 3, 2, 1. This is kind of like my commuter e-scooter. For the lowest mode though, not bad.
Okay, let's be real. No one's actually gonna ride an Eco. Let's kick it up a notch.
Now we're gonna go to Race, but still in single motor. 3, 2, 1. Already you can see a huge jump in the acceleration. This is crazy. We're gonna turn around. Oh, yeah, I forgot. This has regen too, which I love. I think regen is great for these scooters. We're gonna do one last launch test. We're gonna keep it in Race, and we're gonna turn on dual motors. You have this button right here, DDM. Just like that, front motor should be activated. 3, 2, 1. The front tire is skidding. My fault, guys. One more time. I'll control the launch a little better. One more time. 3, 2, 1. I can't even control the skidding. It's so torquey.
If you pin it from a dead stop and you're not completely leaned forward, chances are the front wheel will not get enough grip.
This is torqueier than some of my e-bikes.
But now the test everyone wants to see.
We got a ton of open road.
You know what that means?
Top speed run. The website claims 38 miles an hour, but I've gotten upwards of 40 in dual motor mode. 36, 39. Had to let off right there. One more time. We were going against the wind there. Let's go. Tuck in a little bit more. We got up to 30 pretty easily. Same with 35. 40. We got up to 42 miles an hour right there. That's insane.
And not a single death wobble.
And there you have the regen. I never feel like my scooter wants to like throw me off or get really wobbly. Whether I'm going at high speeds, bumpy roads, even off-road. These scooters are so nice to ride.
I put a lot of emphasis on ride quality because you really don't get the full picture until you're actually riding. With how small the wheels are and how high your center of gravity is, you're putting a lot of trust in the build quality, which can be easily compromised for better performance. And that's why I like Ausom's, being able to make relatively fast scooters that still feel safe.
Obviously this thing is quick, obviously this thing is fast, but I'm about to put it up to the ultimate challenge. We're pulling up to probably the steepest hill in our area, and we're gonna see if this thing can climb it. I'm pretty confident though. With all the torque that this has, I'd be surprised if this couldn't climb the hill.
There she is.
It looks kind of steep on camera, but it's even steeper in real life. I'm not gonna give it too much of a rolling start. I think this is pretty fair. Let's go.
We estimated the hill at about 20 degrees, with the steepest part being 25 if not more. For context, that's about a 40% grade, so it's not a shock that we're moving pretty slow.
The front wheel keeps skidding. So close. I think the problem is that my launch is too high. I'm gonna go down slowly. All right, let's turn this down. The same spot. Let's go.
This time I turned the launch power back down to 3, and the front wheel is definitely skidding less.
That's a lot better.
You're not gonna find many hills this steep, but even if you do, you'll be just fine.
Go. Come on. There we go. I'm king of the hill. Realistically, you're not starting at the foot of the hill with like 0 run up. If you have a little bit of run up, this is an easy hill to climb. The real challenge is how these brakes are gonna hold up rolling down this.
No joke, it's so much scarier rolling down on a scooter than a bike. You get a little too touchy with the front brake and you'll look like a pole vaulter going over your bars.
Do not try this at home.
Or at your local park.
Wait, it's actually not that hot. Holy! Why is the grass so wet? By the way, we lost our first bar of battery. Right now we're at about 80%, and we went 6 miles, maybe 7.
If you don't feel like doing the math, we're on pace to get at least 30 miles in total, which is actually really good for how hard I've been riding. And I know the website says 50 or 60 miles of range, but realistically, you'd have to be riding at like 25 miles an hour max. And probably in single motor mode too.
Check out the suspension though.
Alright, we get it, bro. Let's move on to the next segment. We're about to test our off-road capabilities. And we turned the launch power back up to max, so this should be fun.
I hope there's no one in here, so I don't have to use my horn.
These days, I see more and more scooters get more geared towards off-road, and I totally get why. Tell me this doesn't look fun.
Close one.
Yeah, just shrug it off, we're good. I mean, if your commute includes a trail like that, you're in a pretty good spot.
Whew.
I don't think I bottomed out once.
For how wet those trails were, I definitely thought I was gonna fall.
It would have been pretty funny, too.
The dual sport tires are really nice. This is the kind of tire I want to get for my Talaria. I want to test the brakes as well, because at 40 miles an hour, you really need to be able to stop. I'm gonna pin it for a little bit, and then we're gonna see how quickly we can stop. 3, 2, 1. You can skid the back tire. That's how good the braking power on this is. That's crazy. How far do you think that is? Like 3 meters? In this distance, you can completely stop the scooter. I like the regen on this, but it's a little bit different than e-bikes. On my Talaria, all you have to do is release the throttle, and the regen will kick in automatically. But on this, you actually have to apply the brake, and it uses the brake sensor to kick in the regen.
Little instant replay here. The regen's slightly delayed, but that's fine by me. Overall, the handbrakes combined with the regen make for just about the right amount of stopping power. And the amount of playing the levers going into a gradual bite make it really predictable. So it's extremely difficult to go over the bars unless you're actually trying to.
I'm gonna try to wheelie the scooter. I've never been good with scooters, but this feels like a good platform to learn on. Single motor. See, I'm getting the wheel up, which is great.
This was my first time trying to wheelie the L2 Max, and I actually felt comfortable pulling back and trusting the throttle. Early on, my goal was to find balance point by going a little further back each time, and also feeling out how much I need to use the brakes. Unlike on e-bikes where you can chill near balance point while feathering the brake and throttle, this took a lot more adjusting, which I wasn't used to.
Oh, went too far back.
But not to worry, this was just our first session, and I feel like it was a pretty good start.
That was actually really fun. A lot of the scooters I've tried before, it's kind of scary like going back. But with this, I actually feel comfortable at balance point. I feel comfortable trusting in the brakes, you know?
Speaking of the brakes, I noticed a little bit of brake fade near the end, which made it just a tad bit spongier. And that's one downside of having cable brakes, being that they're a little worse with brake fade and heat. If you do notice your bike getting a little weaker while riding, it's totally normal, whether you have cable or hydraulic. And it almost always returns to normal after cooling down. I can't say the brake fade on this is really noticeable though. That was the first time today I actually noticed a slight drop in power from the back brake.
And you know you can't have a full review video without pros and cons, so let's get to it. I think the biggest selling point for this scooter is the value. Sub $1,000, whether you're looking for an e-bike or an e-scooter, it's very hard to beat for the price. This scooter is $950. You get tons of speed, you get a great amount of range, in my opinion. You get something that can go on and off-road, and especially if you're in a city where the police are cracking down on those e-bikes, this is such a great option. And yeah, I mean, the quality, I talk about it again and again and again, but I really love how these scooters are built. They're built to last. On top of that, this scooter is just fun. Me personally, I started riding on an e-scooter, and look, I could go on all day about all the good things that are on this scooter. But I think it's also important to talk about some things that could be improved. For most people, this isn't your traditional commuter scooter. Compared to maybe something like a smaller 9-bot or an i-scooter like I have, this scooter is pretty heavy. And ideally, you don't want something this heavy if you're going to be going on long flights of stairs, or you're going to be constantly lifting this into the bed of a pickup truck. What I will say though is that this scooter is not too difficult to fold. All you have to do, loosen this, pull this out, and there you have it. I guess you could lift this actually. Just a question of, do you want to be lifting this all the time? And we should be good to go again. Another thing is these grip ends right here. I'm not sure why they stick out like this, but I personally find them a little uncomfortable. And while we're at it, this does use an index finger throttle, which is slightly different than the twist throttles on e-bikes, or like the thumb throttles or half twist, all that.
While an index throttle does give you better grip on the handlebar and in my opinion easier throttle control, it also takes more time to switch between throttle and brake lever, which can be the difference between stopping in time and, well, not stopping in time.
I think for a scooter this powerful, I actually prefer the index finger throttle though. Still, maybe a full twist would be good here.
Anyways, as promised, we're back at the wheelies. And other than the grips being slightly uncomfortable, I don't have any complaints. It feels smooth, it feels natural, it feels like it was made for this. The geometry geometry of the frame is confident. The center of gravity feels relatively low, and the footrest encourages you to place your weight back, which is perfect for popping the wheel up. But again, this is my first day wheeling the scooter, so I wonder how long it takes to learn the leg over bars and other crazy combos you see people do. Alright, I shouldn't even be thinking about that right now. We need to focus on keeping the wheel up longer. Lucky for me, I happened to bump into a familiar face, and someone that could help take my power wheelies to the next level. Of course, we can't go anywhere without our helmets. Look, I usually don't let people ride my bikes, but I know this guy can learn a scooter in a minute better than I can in a day. But yeah, so this is me trying to work out his scooter. The screen didn't work, okay? I didn't even know it was on.
Yeah, it's kick to start.
Oh. Pop it up? Yikes. Anyways, I didn't even make it halfway across the pavement, and this guy's already looking like prime locked in on my scooter. After some quick pointers, I could almost find balance point. Almost. I don't know why, but I like keeping both my feet on the deck. It just feels more controlled to have all my weight planted instead of swinging freely. More importantly, it made me less dependent on planting my foot and more focused on using the back brake. And with how wide the deck is, you can still comfortably swing the foot back anytime. Anyways, I think we made some decent progress today. Before this, I didn't try to wheelie my first Ausom, or really any of my scooters for that matter. So wheelie-wise, you could definitely get the hang of this in a day, especially if you're a little more skilled than me. Here's a little Easter egg for you guys. I've been seeing a lot of comments asking to see a wheelie, but I don't think I'm allowed to include them in my shorts. Back to the video, the Ausom L2 Max is truly flagship worthy, especially when you factor in what you're paying for it. For the price, the scooter punches way above its weight class. Hands down, the standouts here are the aggressive acceleration and that top end speed. It just pulls every time you hit the throttle. But beyond raw performance, the build quality feels super solid, and the overall ride is ridiculously smooth. We really put it through a lot today, carving up the street, tearing through dirt, and tackling steep uphill. And it handled every single terrain we threw at it. On top of that, after a long ride, the battery life held up strong. If you want top tier performance and versatility without breaking the bank, the L2 Max is an absolute winner. As always, I really appreciate you guys watching until the end, and I'm super excited for my upcoming long forms. If there are any bikes, scooters, or really anything electric you want me to test, just drop it down in the comments. Ride safe, guys. Peace.